Welcome back to Woodworks. Doing a little something here that definitely never done before. Pouring these little kind of bits of wood, burnt the tops. Was hoping I'd get a little more, I guess, a see-through on the epoxy, but that did not work out. I think more research I did, if you want like a more, that's not the right word, opaque, but just a more see-through, clearer mix with these colors is to use, I guess, a dye rather than the actual powder pigment I'm using. But regardless, they'll still probably turn out pretty cool. At least I hope they will. So what I'm doing is taking these bits here and sanding them down on the little sander to get flat. And then what I'll do is go through the table saw, cut these really thin, and I'm going to attempt to make some earrings out of these. Actually, some like dangly. Probably won't be that long. I don't know, maybe end up being that long. Do some really fine sandpaper. Step it all the way up to pretty much probably about a 3000 grit sandpaper to shine, almost polish it, and then put a nice finish on it. You know, get some like some hooks. They got some jewelry making kits that you can kind of drill into the end and put the hooks in kind of dangly bits. So what I can do is cut slivers on this, cut these into slivers, and then basically split it down the center and get two earrings. So I don't know, 3 or 4 out of this, maybe 3 earrings, 3 sets of earrings. The same thing out of this one, maybe a little bit longer, maybe different shapes, I don't know. And then not going to use this whole thing, obviously. That'd be so honking earring, but probably do the same thing, but maybe cut this and break it and do another pour on these. Maybe you can get 2 more pours out of this one. So it should be kind of a cool little thing, but we're sanding these down flat on the edges. You can see here, so we can run them nice through the table saw using a little micro jig so I don't cut my digits off. But this will be kind of cool actually, because it's got a little bit of the burnt wood sticking through the top there. Anyways, that's kind of what we're up to here, so let's get going. All right, got them all cut up. Let's see if I can move these. So I cut them into little pairs. So I don't know, they're long right now, but I don't know what length I'll cut them to. I'm not much of an earring guy, but we'll figure that out. We'll do some research, see what kind of lengths we need to get to. But I think at this point, we can start sanding these. Got a bunch of these purple ones. I think these are gonna, once they polish up, they're gonna look really cool. Actually, I should say some of these are just the purple ones. These big ones here are got like a mix. So it was like, the idea was that there was, if I remember how I poured them, I think it was like a bluish, dark bluish at the bottom, then a purplish, and then this orange at the top. We'll see what what it looks like when we polish them up. But then this is the straight up orange ones. They're a little bit longer. And then I think these two pieces here, maybe I'll make like a teardrop pendant type of thing. Thin it, you know, one of these numbers where it's like round teardrop with a thin part up here and a little hole and maybe a necklace or something, a couple of those. So that's the game plan. There's a lot of sanding here with these pieces to see if we can polish them up somehow. We'll go through progressive sandpaper grits. I got this. It's a wet dry sandpaper. Gold Shack, Wicked Shack. Dry or wet. We go all the way from, there's 3 of each. 120, you can start at 120, go all the way up to a 3000. That should shine it up nice. Anyways, that's what we're going to do next, and we'll figure out some lengths and shapes and all that type of stuff, and go from there. That was a fail. All right, so I started to sand and had the fail right on the rip, and that's probably just because I wasn't holding it right. But then I started to think, I'm like, maybe I should take off and rough shape these things. So that's what I kind of did here. So I've got I don't know, a little set of shorties, like square cigarettes. These got a little taper to them. Same thing here. These don't have a lot of epoxy showing, but we'll see, you know, and these are a little bit bigger, thicker, heavier. Some tapered ones, square or rectangle shapes, more tapers. So we'll see what these look like as I start to sand each one and kind of polish them up and see what they look like. First go, turn it into a jewelry maker. Let's go. All right, welcome back. We're here making earrings. Wood and epoxy, colored epoxy or resin earrings. I think they, my lighting maybe sucks. There we go. That's a little bit better. So what I did is I'm waiting on the hooks. You know, there's going to be like little tiny eyelets that get drilled and glued to the center underside of all these where these push pins are. But I'm waiting on those. So what I did was take this push pin right in the center of all of these posts down here, just stuck it in and then super glued the push pin to the board here so I could stand them all up and apply a finish to them. Right now they got one coat, but I'm going to put a second coat on here, and getting a good response on these bad boys. We got some other cool colors coming too. So we got this like forest green and walnut. Of course, it's still got to be sanded. But and then this copper and walnut. So we'll do the same thing like we did with these. We'll slice these down the center. But what I'm going to do is cut. There's going to be less wood and more epoxy on these. The epoxy kind of is seems to be the big draw here. But what we'll do is cut. Instead of making some of them so long, we'll cut them a little shorter and do more epoxy. I'm gonna get a new sander, like a little 1-inch by 30-inch band sander with a disc sander on one side, made by Rikon. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, that'll give me a lot more control. I was sanding these before using this big oscillating rigid sander down here with the belt. Does a great job, takes a lot off with the heavy grip, but it's, you know, one little slip on a finger and you know, you're like Kevin Spacey from Seven with no fingerprints type of deal. So, and my fingers, honestly, I sanded these I think 2 weeks ago. My fingertips are still numb from pushing onto these little, you know, pushing it like this up against the sanding disc. Freaking crazy. So I found a cool little sander, a little benchtop sander. I think will work perfect for these, and I get a bunch of different grits on the belt. Because as you saw in this video, I'm doing a lot of wet sanding and up on all the grits. I use this paper. I went from like 220 up to 3,000. I think 3,000 is a little overkill for this epoxy because it's not clear. It's a colored, like a pigment. But I'm going to experiment with some other types of epoxy with a dye rather than a powder pigment. And it'll be clear with a little tint to it. And so I'll experiment with that. That's where I'll probably go up to like a 3,000 and kind of buff it and get it really shine. And then put a finish on it and it'll be pretty damn cool. So anyways, let's put a finish on these bad boys. I made the mistake of trying to do too many videos at the same time. Had a lot of projects going on in the shop. The boards, the earrings, this little cool side table that I'm working on. You know, trying to rehab some cornhole boards. I'm trying to plan for making a chandelier. There's all sorts of crap going on. Then I got this table that I'm doing for somebody. Basically, it's some reclaimed wood. Trying to make it into a more secure tabletop with these legs. Anyway, so that's the delay in all these videos. So, getting to wrap up the earring video. That's why we're here. I wish I had the full display that you just saw me finishing, spraying on that board with the push pins and everything. So I had 10 sets that I started with and 2 little like offcuts that were turned into be pendants, or I was trying to make into pendants, and I'm still am, but so I have those 2 and then only 2 earrings left, sets of earrings, because the rest have actually all been sold already. Well, I shouldn't say they all have been sold. I gave a set to my wife, and then I gave a set to my mom, right? They deserve those. But, so here's the set right here that's left, and we'll try to see if we can get some good video. These are the 2 sets are very similar in this. They're about 3.5 inches long, these, anyways. And they've got like, I don't think it's going to be in focus. Almost like a starry evening, I compare it to. It's got like a mix of the orange, that blue, and the purplish, and it's definitely got like a little sparkle action going on. I think that was due to some of the pearl pigment that I put in with the mix. Anyway, so what we did, we sprayed that finish, right? And then I got a jewelry making kit. And it came with, let's see if I can set this camera up. Forgive me. It came with the little tiny, like, eye bolts. So in the act of actually using the push pin to set these up on the board, it made a little tiny hole that was actually worked out to be perfect. Dabbed these little eye bolts into some super glue. Screwed them in, there were a little screwed them in, and I have these hooks attached to the eyeball. Basically, I took a little bit of needle nose pliers and kind of pried that eye bolt so I get this hook in, and then pried it back so there's no chance of this falling off. And this is a good look though. But so I got some I got some photos of these suckers set up, nice little pictures. Got some pictures. I used my wife's earlobe as a model, and I think they came out nice. Definitely one-offs, man. The chestnut. All right, so I've got some left over from the table that I just made. I've got some little scraps here and there that I'm using, and that's what I use to make these. And I basically burnt the edges, or burnt the edge, and then taped it up and poured the epoxy in. Different colors. I have some straight up purple ones. I made a couple orange ones. Those went quick. And then I've got a couple sets of these kind of mixed color ones. But I liked it. I liked the project. I liked that effort so much. Nobody asked me to make it. I just thought of it. I didn't think of it. I saw it obviously in the, I don't know about the rest of the woodworkers out there, but Pinterest is sometimes your best or worst enemy. Your best friend, worst enemy, because I'll see something on Pinterest and just triggers my brain. I'm like, ooh, I can make that. And next thing I know, I'm like neck deep in some project. Or the wife will see something and be like, ooh, can you make this? Yeah, I can make that. Even though you never made it. Anyway, so in this effort, I got so hooked that I started making, I'm trying to turn the lights on here. Oh, I wasn't even in picture. I started making a bunch of these things. Because the ones that I had, kind of sold like hotcakes. But here's what we got. coming. So we got this is all walnut and some what's that, forest green, I think is what they called that. This is walnut and copper, the copper epoxy, all Baltic Day stuff. Over here you can see all these little packets. I got a couple boxes. Copper, and then I mixed up, when I was doing this project, I mixed up a little too much epoxy, and so I mixed it with some pink. And this is walnut in the pink. And so I'm going to do the same thing like I did last time. This one obviously stuck to the board that I was holding and it leaked out a little bit, but basically I'm going to sand these down a little bit and then I'll split it lengthwise, right? But then with these, what I'll probably do is less wood, more epoxy type of ratio. The other ones were more wood to epoxy. These I'll probably make something like that where it's a lot more epoxy to wood. And I think when these sand up, these color contrasts, when you finish up the walnut, it's got like this dark chocolate milk, depending on the grain, milk or dark chocolate color, with that bright green and the pink, and then with the copper. And my wife is already wanting one of the copper ones. So, and then what I also did was take, just to see how this was going to work out, take a dowel, 3/8 inch dowel I had, and made some round ones. So I got, I'll have a couple sets of those. But those I think will be kind of cool, trying to sand them up. And I did say I've got a new sander that I'm looking at, and I'm probably going to order before I start on those, because trying to sand the stuff on this massive rigid, fantastic job. It does an excellent job taking off a lot of the meat, but because these pieces are so small, and I kind of made a pun there, it takes off a lot of the meat. It takes off a lot of the wood and the epoxy, but it definitely will take the meat off your fingers. But because these things are so small, I need something a little more, a smaller sander that was more agile, I could work around. And so I think it's Rikon. I think that's how you pronounce it. R-I-K-O-N. Makes a bench top, 1 inch wide belt by 30 inches sander. And so you've got that on one side, and then you have a plain like 5-inch disc sander on the side, almost like a benchtop grinder, but it's been adapted to have this belt. And then of course you can have all sorts of different grits and finishes of the sandpaper. But I think that would allow me to work with these small pieces very easily, and it's not that expensive. So I think when I deliver some of these other projects, use that money and invest in the Wood Works by Snyder. Invest in myself, my inner self, because all of this is therapeutic for me. So anyways, really weird ending to a video about earrings, and then we went into diving into your inner self and being at peace. But yeah, I definitely enjoy you guys sticking around. I think we're up to 36, 37 viewers. Let's see if we can get to 40. Please like the video. I'm getting a little bit better with the editing, and I'm trying to figure out, I think I just figured out today, how to change the thumbnail that goes to all my videos. So I don't know if you've seen, I've got like 20 some, close to 30 videos posted right now. Every one of them pretty much has like this face of me. And so today I just figured out how I can upload my own thumbnail to use as a video. And so I figure I'll start using the finished product as the thumbnail, right, to draw viewers in. That's probably a good idea. So I just figured that out today. I know, I'm kind of slow. Anyways, thanks for joining me on the earring episode. And there'll be a lot more earrings coming from what you can see over there on the workbench. But thanks for joining. Be sure to like the video. Be sure to subscribe, and then hit that bell. It will notify you every time I put a video out. All right? Thanks for joining, guys. See you on the next one.